Okay, well it's that time of day again where we have another new locomotive to look at. So you all know what that means. It's review time. And today's locomotive we're having a look at is made by Bachmann, as you can see by the logo on the box there. There's no prize for guessing that. And this locomotive is brand new. Now this isn't something that I've had for a while and just left it to one side for ages and not done a review on it until now. No. This locomotive is brand new because it's just arrived in the post. And I'm eager to get a video of it done now because I want to see what this model looks like. I know you can see the locomotive clearly in the packaging, but I want to see what she looks like in detail, and I want to see how she runs and all. So naturally I've just got to do a video on it now because I am pretty excited about this model. Plus I'm sure you all want to see a video on this locomotive too. Now this is by all means not going to be the first review out there of this particular model on YouTube, because others have done reviews on this model already. There's no prizes for guessing what locomotive we're looking at today either, because, well, that's the title of the video, and also you can clearly see what locomotive it is because it's written on the box. It's the Class E4. Now there's a very good reason why I didn't get this locomotive sooner, or should I say earlier. The reason is because there's actually a little story behind this, because originally I was opting for a different livery. This one is in the stunning Southern Region Green livery. Originally I was planning to get the London Brighton South Coast Railways Umber Brown livery, but that one's taking a long time to come out and I just got fed up of waiting for it. And then I suddenly had a change of heart because I started opting for this one. Because of all the Southern Region locomotives I own, not many of them are in Southern Region Green. And so I just had to go for this one because it does look really stunning. I mean, they have brought out other liveries too besides this one, the Southern Region Green one, and the LBSCR livery. They've also done two BR Black versions, the light crest which is lined and the early emblem which is unlined. And so I went for this one because I do have plans for this model as well. Actually, something that you might know about it on Twitter, you won't know about it on YouTube, but I'll explain that later. So I just had to go for the Southern Region Green one because looking at it, the pictures, it looks stunning, and I don't think I'm wrong because I've yet to see something negative said about these models. But anyway, let's not blabber on. Let's get this model out the box and see what it's like. This model came from Hereford Model Centre. I mean, I was going to get it off Hatton's, but I went to buy it on Hereford instead, basically. So it's the usual new style Bachmann packaging, which is the plastic packaging, which I'm not a fan of, but you know, we're starting to get used to it, I suppose. So here's the box sleeve, or outer box sleeve should I say rather. And then on the back you get the brief history of this class of locomotive. So let's run through some of the history of this class of locomotive. They were all designed by R.J. Billington, and they were built at Brighton Works between 1897 and 1903. So they are a Victorian aged locomotive, if that's the right thing to say, being built from the 1800s to the early 1900s. 75 of them were built, and they lasted right up to BR days as well, when withdrawals started in 1955, so they are quite old as well. And they were a larger version of the E3 class, but the cylinder diameter was reduced from 18 to 17.5 inches. And they were quite powerful as well for their size, and were stalwarts of local passenger, freight and branch line workings for more than 50 years. Just pan the camera up slightly. And all members survived the transfer to Southern Region ownership, although one of them, I do believe, got destroyed. Not in an accident, I think it was... I can't remember what it was. Was it some sort of protest or something, or whatever? I don't know, because I can't remember. It's because that to pass out my head. I will put an annotation on the screen though, if I remember it, which I probably will later on. And these actually did become surplus to requirements due to the reduction of branch lines and the later arrival of DMUs, which these got replaced by later on. And these were used on local passenger trains, along with freight trains, and on branch line duties as well. And in BR days, several of these became station pilots, Most famously, they became station pilots at Waterloo Station, in which they would bring empty coaching stock rakes into the station from the yards at Clapham Junction in London. And also they were also used on other services as well, like the Lancing Bell, running from Brighton to the Lancing Carriage Works. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it, could be wrong, but I'm sure that is how you pronounce it anyway. And so they went from Brighton to the Carriage Works basically at Lancing, which was on the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway. And this was actually often double-headed, with either two E4s or an E4 and an E6, which is a larger version of the E4. And the E3 is a smaller version of the E4 basically. But even so. So I think that's more than enough history to go through on this class of locomotive. Although there is actually one in preservation, which is actually this model as well, which is 473, which is preserved on the Bluebell Railway. However, it's not going to stay in the guise of 473 for long. I'll explain about that later. So I'll put the box sleeve to one side, then we'll get the plastic packaging out. Which we'll put to one side. Wow, just look at that. You know, even though she's still in the packaging, she still looks really stunning. And so, this is one of these quality control things from Hereford Model Centre, just to say that this engine was tested, and of course it works, because otherwise they wouldn't have sent this particular model to you. But yeah, I've had them before. Nothing new. So that's the tray for the box. We'll put that to one side. Then here's all the usual paperwork, such as the warranty service request, the product maintenance and care, and on the back it's the product warranty and the collector club flyer. Nothing really that interesting. And then here we have the instructions for the locomotive, which will go into my folder soon. And this is basically like a spare sheet sort of thing, because all these parts here are numbered, so if you lose any parts you can use this sheet to order more replacement parts, which is quite clever actually. And then on the back you do have the instructions, such as the running in, the curves that it's suitable for, body shell removal, fitting a DCC decoder, lubrication, which bits need to be lubricated, and it also says the model should be handled carefully because of fine detail parts, so it's not suitable for those under 14. And it also shows you how to fit detail parts, such as the steam pipes, the cosmetic couplings, and the southern region discs, and the brake pipes and all that usual stuff. So I'll put that to one side, because I do have a pile of instructions just over here waiting to go into the instruction folder where I keep all the instructions for the locomotives. So I've got to get that done later. So we'll bring the model back into shot, and so we can take the plastic packaging off. So what we do here is just take off the sleeve, that I like to call it, of the packaging, and then we can get to the detail parts. So here you have a brake rod. You also get 4 brake pipes. Well, no, actually, no. You get... it looks like there's 5 brake pipes in there, actually. Though I could be mistaken, it could be just 4. No, it is only just 4, because there's outer steam pipes, so I was mistaking them for brake pipes. You also get chain link couplings in there as well, as you can see, 2 of course. And you also get these southern region discs. And what Bachmann have cleverly done, there are slots in the back, so they can slot onto the lamp irons, which you can put a little bit of blue tack in there and just hold them on place, which I will do actually. And that is actually really clever. It's just a shame that none of the other manufacturers do this. Hornby, if you're watching, I'd like you to start doing the same thing. And also Bachmann, since you're doing this with these head coat discs, try doing it with lamps, because that would be really good as well actually, doing this with lamps, putting sockets on the back or underneath so they could go on the lamp irons. You know, that would be really cool. But anyway, we'll put those to one side. I can't wait to add those. The Southern Region Edco discs will be put on temporarily, so I can get this pulling just more than one tray and I can swap the head codes over, because I like to do that in my videos, as you all probably know. Although sometimes in some cases I forget to put the lamps on. Right, well, let's move on. So all we do is lift up the flap for the packaging. We'll just lift the model out. And then we can just simply put the packaging back assembly, or together should I say, back together. Yeah, that's the right thing to say, I think. And so we can put that to one side. And then we are free to have a look at the model itself. And here she is in all her fine glory. Wow. Just look at this. I mean, I know I say that for most of my reviews, but she's really stunning. I mean, for starters, she's quite heavy, because it's not a big locomotive, it's just a tank engine, but it's heavy. But that's because the chassis is made of metal, of die-cast metal. And that's good, because it's nice to see that, because it does need a bit of weight. Because without the weight, then this model would be useless and it wouldn't be able to pull anything. And the only thing it would be useful for is, well, just running around your light engine basically, or just being a model on a shelf. But even so, even though the chassis is made of die-cast, there's still some detail on that, but we'll get to that in a minute. So that's the weight covered. Couplings, yes, they are indeed removable, and they have the dovetail connectors, as they're known as, or as I prefer to call them, pigeon tail connectors. I don't know why, I just do. And there's, of course, there's two on both sides, so you can remove the one at the front if you want, or the one at the back and change the couplings entirely. It's up to you. The buffers are not sprung, but they are made of metal, which is really nice, because I don't have much care for sprung buffers anyway. But it is nice that they have given metal buffers anyway, because metal buffers are better than plastic ones, I think. Well, there's a bit of grime on the... There's just a bit of a grubby fingerprint mark there on the model. That's just washed off. Sorry about that. Right. Back to the review. I mean, it will need a bit of dusting down actually, because there's some slight dust on it, but either way. Also at the front of the buffer beam, you have the holes for the coupling and the brake pipes to go into, and the loco's running number B473, which is nicely printed on the front. Then these are the lamp irons on the front of the running board. You've got the smaller lamp irons and the longer lamp irons here at the front, which is accurate because these E4s do indeed in real life have these lamp irons, because these are the sort of lamp irons you also see on the Terriers, and the prototype E2 also had them. And so I just can't wait to get the discs on them, because that will look really cool. There's also a lamp iron on the top of the smoke box door there. There's rivets all on the running board, which is nice to see. There's even some rivets on some of these cab steps, which are also painted, and they've got lining on them, which looks really good. And there's also some lining on the running plate as well, which is nice. The wheels are painted a lovely green, which is accurate. It's the same shade of green as well as it is with that on the livery of the locomotive, because it was a different shade of green, it just wouldn't look right. You've also got some pipe work under the running plate there, as you can see, which on the other models you get on the E4s, they're not painted, they're left unpainted. So it is nice that they have done it with this model. You could paint it yourself if you wanted, if you got the model that had it unpainted, but it would be quite tricky to do. There's the side rods, as you can see. You get no valve gear or link motion, but that's accurate for this class of locomotive. But I still can't wait to see that move. Then these are where the brake rods fit into this detail here. They have these little holes in They can be quite tricky to add, but you know. Then this is the sanding gear here, which is really nice. Then you have a cab door there with handrails that are separately put on down the sides of them. Of course you do get separately put on handrails around the top of the boiler, and I just love how they come onto the top of the tanks, which is the same case on both sides. You know, that is really good. And also you get this pipe work here, which you don't get on some of the other models either. It's absent on the London, Brighton and South Coast Railways one, but it's there on the others, which is nice to see. There's also some brass pipe work there, which is also painted. Again, with the BR black ones, that's left unpainted, but you could also paint it if you got one of those models that didn't have it unpainted. But it's nice to see it's painted on this livery of Locomotive, because that's accurate, and so it's nice. There's also a builder's plate on the wheel splasher there, and there's some rivets on that too, along with some lining. Oh, what does it say? Brighton 1808, so that was obviously the date that this particular locomotive was built. You got water filler caps on the top of the tanks and washout plugs. There's even some rivets there on the top of the tanks. Just look at that. You know, that is really stunning. And the livery of the locomotive, it's spot on. You know, the livery is just as important as the detail, and they've got it spot on. So well done for that, Bachmann. And it looks quite stunning as well, with all the white lining that you see. So there is a lot of lining on this model, which makes it stand out. Because there's lining on the tanks there, as you can see, with a small handrail, and that's a little step so the crew can climb up on the top of there to the tanks. There's also lining on the tanks, and the Southern Region lettering is accurate and crisply printed. And then there's the locomotive's running number, 473, which it's not going to stay numbered as 473 for long, because I am going to renumber it. I plan to renumber it to 475. Now, I don't know if that was an actual number of a loco in reality. I'm assuming there was. But when I have tried to research numbers of this class of locomotive, I couldn't simply find the running numbers for this class of locomotive. I'm pretty certain there was a locomotive in real life numbered 475, but I am unsure about that. So if any of you know whether there was a 475, or could tell me what numbers these had when I was in the Southern Region days, then do let me know, because I would be interested to know about that, so that could help me with renumbering this locomotive. And also, there will be a how-to video on renumbering locomotives, and I will use this locomotive, so watch out for that as well. So that will also help me out a bit as well. There's also rivets on the side of the tanks there, just look at that. There's also lining around the cab as well, and a small handrail there, which looks really good. There's all rivets on the top of the cab, so this locomotive has plenty of rivets, so those who like the rivets will be very pleased and happy. There's glazing in the cab windows, and there's a finely turned brass whistle. Interestingly, on the BR black one, at least on the lined version, the whistle is silver and not gold, which is unusual. There's also some detail at the top of the safety valve there, which is very nice. There's lining on the boiler as well, which looks very nice. Just look at that. There's a nice dome there as well, and a chimney, which you could have a smoke generator unit in there if you wanted, but that's not really my sort of thing to do, so I'm not going to bother. But it's nice though that the chimney's there, and it's the accurate one too. There's even rivets around the chimney as well, just look at that. And also you got the smokebox door bands and the smokebox door darts, which I'll put on separately, and I will actually paint them up silver, which will look very nice, I think. Then also there is indeed painted cab interior, as you can see. You've got a lever there which is painted, which unusually on the BR black ones is left unpainted. You've also got a turning wheel here, but just look at all the detail you get in there. The gauges and the dials and the pipe work. It's hard to get to it, otherwise the model will hit the camera, and I don't want that. But it is there and it's painted, and also the cab interior is painted cream, which is quite nice because you don't get many models that have the cab interior that's painted cream. as you can see. Again, it's hard to zoom in it properly, but it is there, as you can see. And that is quite nice, because the cream in the cab interior is absent on the other models. I don't know about the London, Brighton and South Coast Railways one, because I didn't pay much attention to that. But it isn't there on the BR Black ones, and it's quite nice to have a locomotive that has the cab interior that's painted and not left unpainted. Not just the details on the smoke box, I'm referring to the inside of the cab, basically. And there is actually some detail in there as well, on the back of the cab there. Just look at that, that's really nice. Again, there's some lining around the bunker, which is quite nice. Again, unsprung buffers at the back, but you know, it would look a bit weird if the back ones were sprung and the front ones weren't. But they're made of metal, which is good, because we like metal buffers. Coupling on the back, of course, as I said earlier, which is removable. More holes in the back of the buffer beam for the brake pipes and the chain link coupling to fit into, and there's lampines on the back as well. So that's really nice. That one looks a bit bent there. Was that just me? I think it's supposed to be like that though anyway. Yeah, it is supposed to be like that. Silly me, I thought that handrail, that little lampine there was bent, but it's supposed to be. Whoops. Never mind. But yeah, there's lampines on the back, and there's some lining too on the back of the bunker, which is nice. There's Locomotive's run number, B473. I'm not sure what the B stands for. Does it stand for Brighton or something? I don't know. I'm sure you'll all correct me if I'm wrong. Although, that said, I do believe this locomotive has been named Birchgrove, so the B could possibly stand for that. I'm not sure. The wheel arrangement is accurate there as well. You've got this rear wheel at the back. It's basically a radial tank. Just be careful with the rear wheel though, because it does swing left to right quite happily, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem when putting it on the track. Then there is some guide irons on the back of the rear windows and some rivets, as you can see, which is nice. And there is coal in the bunker, which the question is it removable? I don't know. There's only one way to find out. Oh, sorry about that. That was the wind. You know, the garage door is just blown forward. I do apologise for that. So there's only one way to find out whether this coal is removable or not. I will get a needle and I'll try and lift it out. So I've got a needle, and so now the moment of truth. I'm giving this as a bent needle, which it's supposed to be like this because it's a different type of needle. Then, you know, it's a bit harder to do. This car might not be removable though. It doesn't seem it wants to come out. I don't think it is removable. Nah, the coal isn't removable, but that's not really a major disappointment. And besides, I'm still going to get real coal put in there anyway. I'll just have to finally scatter it on top. But either way, there's that little bit of detail there at the side of the bunker, before I forget. And there's also some small rivets on the cab door. So let's turn it around to the other side. Again, there's some more lining on the bunker on the other side. More lining on the steps and more brass pipe work under the running plate and down at the back of the steps, as you can see. Lining on the running plate. There is also some more rivets on the side of the cab door and some more lining around the side of the cab with rivets on it as well. And then here is the Westinghouse pump with some separately put on pipe work, which looks really nice, and it's painted too. You know, just look at that. You know, that looks really stunning. And also there is some writing there that's printed onto the Westinghouse pump, but I cannot read it, but it is writing of some sort. It's just that I can't really read it because it's far too small. In fact, not even the camera will cope with focusing on it, but it's there and it's nice. Again, more lining around the sides of the tank and rivets too. Accurate southern lettering and numbering, like on the other side. More pipework on the boiler and another builder's plate. More rivets. And that basically is to hold fire irons on top, that little bit of detail on top of the tank. More rivets on top and a water filler cap and washout plugs and another fine handrail that goes on the top of the tanks and around to the sides of the boiler. And also these are the brake blocks. Before I forget. There's a bit of dust on it then. Sorry about that, peeps. But wow. This is a stunning model. There's not really much else to say about it really for its detail. So, all that's left to do is to get this model put on the tracks and see how she runs, which I'm looking forward to seeing it run just as much as I was looking forward to see its detail, which hasn't failed to disappoint. So now let's get on with the locomotives running. Okay, before we do put her on the tracks, I forgot to mention this detail here. Which is this pipework here. Just the top of the boiler and going up to the dome. As you can see. Just thought I'd point that out before I put her on the track. Right, so here we are at the layout. I'm going to put the E4 onto the track. Now, there have been some layout updates that have been done over the past few days, and a couple have been done off camera actually. But I'm not going to point them out in this video, no, because I'm going to be saving that for a separate video, which will be a video showing some of the modelling I've been doing lately and layout updates. So look out for that. Okay, so the E4 is now on the track. Just turn the power on. Let's give it a wiggle. Oh yeah, look at that. Smooth runner. Okay, so let's get her going. Now, considering this is not the fastest speed that she can go at, she's running really well and quite smoothly. But then again, it is a tank engine after all, so it's not something that was designed to go above 100 miles an hour. Let's just zoom in on the side rods. Very nice. Do excuse that random couch in the background, that's just there for testing. So there she goes through the tunnel, and she'll come out the other end. Like so. Passing the siding where the mineral wagons are. Passing the signal box and through the station where all the people are waiting to get on the train. Then past the seaside. Yes, there will be some detailing going on there, like people, etc. I know I keep on saying that, but there will be in time, trust me. then past the engine shed. Then passing the airfield. Under the bridge, over the level crossing and back through the tunnel. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get some close-ups of her and then we can get her pulling the train. It should be a lot of fun. Okay, so we have the E4 coupled up to a train, which I have it coupled up to the rake of Southern Region coaches, which go quite well with this locomotive. Or just put the camera strap down on the church steeple. Anyway, so I'm going to put on the little head code discs. Which should slot on quite easily. He said to excuse the giant finger. There we are. That's one of them on. As you can see. There we are. So it's now got a head code. And that actually works quite well, as I'm sure you'll all agree. So that's actually a very clever design, putting them slots in the back. There has been some blue tack added in the back, by the way, so that's why they've not fallen off. But yeah, I think Bachmann should try this with lamps as well. And also, like I said earlier in the video, I think Hornby should have a go at doing that as well. But anyway, let's get her running. Let's see how strong she is. I'm pretty certain that she can cope with this train easily, given how heavy the model is. And yes, she can pull that easily. It's just 4 coaches, I know, but she can pull them with these. It's like they're not even there. I just hope those head code discs stay on though, but they should do. There's no reason to why they shouldn't stay on. I am walking on gravel, by the way, so do excuse the noise, because there is gravel on the floor now. Yeah, she can pull this train with these. Oh, that was a bit of a jerk there on that track. I'll have to look at it later. Anyway, but she's running well. So we'll get some close-up shots of her pulling the train around the layout. So the conclusion then, oh, not the camera. So the conclusion then, wow, it's not very often I say this, but I think I'm going to have to get another one of these, because they're just so stunning. They pull very well, which is what you want. Smooth runners. Lots of detail, and they're slotted on head code discs. I just can't really falter. And if you haven't got one of these, then get one. She'll make a great addition to the collection. I can't wait to get her numbered, which will look really good. And I'll get the smoke box door bands and doors painted as well, the door darts. I was also originally thinking of painting the cab roof white, but given there's lots of rivet detail on there, I might end up losing that if I paint the roof, so I'll leave it as it is. But yeah, I might have to get another one of these, because it will be good to see them both double heading, especially on a train like this, but longer. So you know, I could go for another one, like, I don't know, it'll be our black one, or it might even be an excuse to get the London, Brighton, South Coast Railways one as well, to have that and this, which I think will look really cool on the layout. But this is a stunning model, and I'm sure you'll all agree.